Listening to your elders, respecting your elders, I think is a very, very overrated piece of advice. Because this piece of advice assumes that aging, becoming elderly, is an achievement. It is not an achievement. It's an activity. And mistaking activity for achievement is very dangerous. In how many weeks, in how many recent weeks have I gotten emails from younger people telling me horrible stories about older family members, brothers, fathers, and so on. Being older than somebody doesn't mean shit. If you are honest with yourself, if you are honest with your experiences in assessing your experiences, you will find that older people, people older than you, have no fucking clue what they're doing. I'm bringing this up because I look at the calendar and I realize we are approaching the end of August and beginning of September. What does this mean? For many of you younger people, you are going to college, either as a freshman or you've been there before. You're going back. So I'm going to start off this college-focused episode of Common Filth Radio by reading you a tweet from someone who is older than me, but someone who I respect, someone who I listen to, someone who is not bullshitting me. And this comes from the great Toilet Law via Twitter. In your most recent episode, you discussed how men who go to college and suddenly adopt liberal views are usually doing it because of sex. I think this is absolutely true. It was true in my case. My freshman year at Florida State University, I ended up falling in with the hardcore leftist crowd simply because they had frequent degenerate sex. It was an opportunity for me to get laid without a lot of effort, but it was very meaningless. I do not have any friendships from that period of my life now, and I found a much more sexually fulfilling relationship with my wife. All college sex is going to do is degrade you and possibly expose you to disease. Making sex an end in and of itself while at college is a horrific waste of the thousands of dollars it cost to go. And if I'm not mistaken, this is in response to an email that I answered last week regarding a listener's brother who has been going to college for some period of time and has become essentially everything we despise. Not only is this person's older brother politically retarded, he is disloyal to what his brother holds valuable. In other words, he is more loyal to emptying his balls to cum and tingles than he is to his own brother. This is just one of many examples of why the modern education system, academia, is the most effective mind control device ever created. You're a young person. You go into this environment that provides you with easy access to sex, alcohol, drugs. Any given young person, when exposed to this, whether they know better or not, cannot resist the temptation this provides because they value pleasure. They think that feeling good is good and it can lead to no negative consequences. Young people for many generations, not just this one, not just millennials, not just post-millennials, whatever the fuck we're going to call them, have been seduced by this environment because they think feeling good, there's truth in that. That is the ultimate truth. And that anything associated with that, anything that that environment offers, that hedonistic environment offers is also true. You fall into a social circle. They have good-looking girls, cheap booze, easy booze, drugs, the promise of experimentation. People find this very exciting. So they think when they go to class, oh, this must be good too. This must be the right thing to believe. Because that's all boilerplate 101 college classes teach you. How to have the right socially correct opinions. And not just in this generation, but in many generations. People get easy sexual attention, people get some easy inebriation, and all of a sudden, race is a social construct, gender is a social construct. Sexuality, I have to experiment with my sexuality. I have to become a pause-bottom pig. It's all very interconnected. It's all one and the same. So here you are, listening to this show, and you're about to go into this environment for the first time, or you are returning to it, who presumably does not value easy pleasure, who values other things which might not be kosher, which might get you put in front of a human rights tribunal. You believe things like race and sex, not gender, are very important factors in determining who we are and how we operate. You believe that sticking feathers up your ass doesn't make you a chicken. You believe that genital mutilation, well, fill in the blank. You will be around people your age who are nowhere near as brave as you are because they haven't explored their doubts. They haven't looked at the expectations and decided that reality, when expectations meet reality, there is a significant gap between what is and what should be. And if they do discover a gap, it's always someone else's fault, and never the fault of those doing wrong. A homosexual gets his face fucked by a psychotic trucker high on meth, for a little bit of meth, in a truck stop bathroom. That's homophobia's fault. Homophobia put that person there. A black person commits a crime. That's white privilege's fault. A black person kills another black person. That's white people's fault. The people who believe this nonsense, who believe these insanities, will be in your social circle. Guaranteed. This is not an episode about, oh, what should I major in? What should I do when I'm in college? No. All I'll say is this with regard to what you should major in. If you are going to major in a humanities, quit now, get a refund if you possibly can, and go learn to be a plumber or an electrician or something. And in the time between learning how to be a plumber, learning how to be an electrician or whatever, read books. Read books if that's what you want to do. Because you will find yourself a lot richer for it. In more ways than one. You don't need some dipshit professor, draft-dodging professor, coward professor telling you what a text means. You don't need their interpretation. You don't need to place yourself in an environment where your success depends on your interpretation matching his opinion matching yours. I know that right now we are speaking negatively of what we perceive to be the college experience. But let's rethink that whole thing. Experience implies something you do on your own. Something that you do, an action happens, and you interpret it. You interpret whatever events happen in your own way. If experiences are the input and opinions are the output, if your opinion does not match the opinions reflected through all of the bullshit lenses of academia, then your opinion is invalid for being racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, ableist. Well, then your experiences are invalid because you're ignorant. So, in this respect, college is an anti-experience. You are discouraged from actually experiencing things for yourself because it violates an unspoken deal you are making with the powers that be, the universities, the colleges, your teachers, who are dependent on both the taxpayer and your tuition checks clearing. You are giving them a check, but they don't see it that way. They don't see themselves as being at your service. How they see it is like this. We are giving you this environment for young people. And young people, all they value is pleasure, hedonism. And we give that to them, and they're more than happy. However, in return, we ask that they form the right opinions, they become good little citizens, and they vote us a pay raise whenever it gets put to ballot. And of course, this only applies to public institutions, but how odd that institutions like Harvard, the Ivy League, which are private schools, are worse. Somehow worse when it comes to pushing this culturally communist propaganda. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with revenge. I'm sure that Goldstein over there is like, my grandpa wasn't allowed to go to Harvard, but now I'm a Harvard professor, and I'm going to show you WASP scum who's denying you admission now. But going back to the original point, the faculty and the institution which employs them are making a deal with you. And if you hold any opinions beyond the pale, that's going to mean trouble for you. If not in their bullshit kangaroo court kind of way, it'll mean trouble for you in your social spheres. You will make friends with people who will be more than happy to accept this unwritten contract. You will be around people who are more than happy to repeat the opinions of their professors back at them and actually believe it. Because it's one thing to do it for a grade. It's one thing to do it to get the hell out with a good grade. I completely understand that. I'd be very hypocritical if I said something negative about that, because I have done it myself. However, obviously, I have not internalized this bullshit enabled by the isolation, the unique kind of isolation academia provides. And perhaps I'll talk more at length with regard to my own college experiences some point in the future. But this isn't about me. I'm not going to make this about me. Lest I get all of these people, you just hate college because you didn't have a good time in college. To which I say, save it for somebody who is, for some reason, sincerely insecure about something, the things they did in their early 20s. A very, very consequential time in a person's life. A very important time in a person's life. Yeah. I am so eaten up by my own regret about all of the good times I didn't have listening to a spinster art professor bitching about Trayvon Martin and the racism of suburbia. So with that being said, getting to my tabs of stuff that I would like to read for you. This is from 8chan's poll, politically incorrect, 8 poll. The best poll. And this is a thread that goes like this. This is words from OP. So my girlfriend is moving away to college next week, and the college she is going to requires her to take a course in both gender and women's studies and race and ethnic studies. I really like this girl, and I've been working hard to keep feminism from brainwashing her. However, it seems that colleges are going all out to brainwash their students. In the pics, you'll see some of the classes that she is required to take. These are gender and women's studies courses. While I'm not too worried for my girlfriend, I am a bit worried for the future of academics and students. So he posted a couple of pictures here that I'll read to you of the list of classes she can take to fulfill these requirements. Food, culture, power, black aesthetics, poly representation. I have no idea what that means. It's probably abbreviated. Whiteness, race, sex, representation. European modernism. That might actually not be so bad. Chicano music experience. Biology, gender, and society with lab. Oh, it has a lab. That's going to be very scientific. Latina activism, work and protest. A class where you work and you protest. Because no one learns anything unless they're protesting for some bullshit cause. The ancient novel and romance. History of sexuality. Traditions of world dance. Intro to Femme plus Gender plus Sexuality Studies. Feminist and queer science. Oh shit, guys. We got queer science now. We're all fucked. Intersectional feminist theories. Again, this stuff is not Tumblr. Tumblr is the output. This is what annoys me about people who are like, this isn't Tumblr. It is Tumblr. You gotta understand the progress of these ideas. Do you not understand that they wouldn't have all this bullshit about queer theory, queer science, intersectional feminist theories? We would not have all of this outgrowth of social justice, social liberalism, if we did not first accept the foundations upon which these ideas are built as valid. In other words, homosexuality, women's suffrage, transgenderism, multiculturalism, and so on. Tumblr is just a place where all of these trailer park hicks who scrounged up enough money or student loans to go to college can express how more high-minded and more sophisticated than their parents are. All the while, they fail to realize the devastating irony of their situation, which is identical to that of their parents. These children are working shitty jobs, and after they get home from their shitty jobs, they watch TV until they pass out. The only difference is their parents, they just watch TV to pass the time. Their kids, they went to college and learned how to watch TV and learned how to have the smart opinions about what's on TV. Look, I learned how to interpret text. Aren't I smart? Yeah, you totally escaped a life of dead-end consumption and wage slavery. Great job. You're really a lot different than your parents. That was quite a tangent, wasn't it? Anyway, where were we? All right, guys, girlfriend going to college. She has a bullshit studies requirement at the college she's going to. Oh, queer feminist theories, performance in queer studies, whatever the fuck that means. Here's the good one. Magic, heresy, and gender. Intro to post-colonial studies. Yeah, after colonization, we all learned how to make these toys that you put up your ass that are shaped like crucifixes. Yeah. You know what? Africa is lucky to have escaped that aspect of post-colonialism. Jane Austen, Women in Music, Rhythm and the Latina Body Politic. Taught by something called Candida F. Jaquez. Yeah, your taxpayer dollars at work, if this is a public institution. You know what? I don't want to dox this guy, but I'm going to look up where the fuck this woman teaches, or this man. Who knows? Jaquez. We're doing this live. Oh, spelled it wrong. Okay. Big fucking shock. Not a cute Latina, but a Jeb Bush Latina. Alright, I paused and found the college. It took me like 30 seconds. Not very difficult to find at all, but this is a progressive liberal arts women's college. And it's private. See, that's almost worse because you're actually willingly paying for it. You aren't, this isn't like taxpayer money being funneled into it. At least if a school gets public money, you have a reason to hate it. With this, you're only like, what the fuck are you thinking? What are your parents thinking? Are you shitting me? What else? Philosophy of feminism, women in public policy, feminist interpretation of the Bible taught by a man, who I'm going to look up right now. Excuse me. Faculty profile. Get fucking ready for this one. And I'm just gonna fucking say it. This is Scripps College, somewhere in California. And this guy's name, this piece of work's name, Andrew Jacobs, professor of religious studies. Academic history, who gives a fuck, areas of expertise, early Christian studies, religion and culture in late antiquity. I study early Christian history through the lens of critical theory, post-colonial studies, gender theory, cultural studies, with a particular focus on the ways in which identity was constructed and deconstructed in the period of late antiquity. My first book explored Christian empire in the late ancient Holy Land, and I have published articles on various aspects of early Christian culture, including the ancient family, biblical interpretation, blah blah blah. And his courses taught varieties of early Christianity, New Testament and Christian origins, early Christian bodies, and here we go, heretics, deviants, and others in early Christianity. In other words, Jesus was gay, deal with it. And this is what people are willingly paying for. This is what people are willingly paying for. This is why the middle class is worthless. The communists were right in a very roundabout kind of way. The middle class is fucking worthless. If you want a life of comfort, fine, being middle class is a great, wonderful thing. However, you better have some excellent fucking imagination. Because you fall into traps like this. You end up thinking that this is what's important. Spotting queers in the Bible. And some guy somewhere with some money is paying for his daughter to take these classes, to come home for Thanksgiving and talk about how Jesus is gay. Oh boy. Let's read some of the replies for this thread here. OP says, while I'm not too worried for my girlfriend, I am a bit worried for the future of academics and students. Well, you should be worried about your girlfriend going to an all-female college with male feminist professors teaching you about gay Jesus. Apparently she's majoring in biochemistry. She's gone. I'm sorry. She'll be eating pussy by next semester. Yeah, that would have been my response. Here are the classes about race. Well, let's see what Scripps College has to offer on race. Intro to Africana Studies. Not Africano. Would that be too patriarchal? Race and pop culture and media. What did I tell you? What did I tell you about all this consumer bullshit? Look, I listen to music. Except that, oh look, I'm listening to music through the feminist lens. Like, what's the point? Black aesthetics, okay, we already did that one. Asian American fiction, feminist and queer science, yeah, this is repeating, never mind. I think this might be the best reply. This is why you don't go to college. Pro tip for underage bands. Go into a trade like plumber, HVAC, seafaring, truck driving, electrical, etc. instead. Amen. Alright, I have one more thing in my tab list, and then we'll do questions. Everybody's favorite. This is from therap.com. Comedians dump campus gigs. When did colleges lose their sense of humor? A new era of political correctness combined with social media is causing comedians to steer clear of edgy jokes and university bookings. After comedian Carlos Mencia did his stand-up act at Rutgers University's homecoming last September, a student activist complained that the routine was littered with racial and sexual epithets. Mencia was pleasantly surprised when the students and administration of the diverse Newark, New Jersey campus opted to support him. Very necessary word there. Everybody has to know it's diverse. That's very important to put in the first paragraph. This website is fucking worthless already, but whatever. This was linked on Drudge Report. I personally thought I was a huge success in the fact that for the first time, somebody pointed out that the exception was the exception and not the rule, Mencia told the Wrap. It wasn't, we're going to take this one person's complaint and turn it into this is how everybody else felt. It was, this is one person's complaint. But for edgy comics like the former Mind of Mencia star, whose material delves into racial and societal issues, run-ins with political correctness don't always go so smoothly. Last December, Bill Maher was the subject of a petition drive at the University of California, Berkeley, by activists opposed to his speaking at winter commencement because of his past remarks criticizing Muslims. Across the United States, high-profile comedians like Jerry Seinfeld, Larry the Cable Guy, and Chris Rock have said they are avoiding campuses because of student hypersensitivity. I don't play colleges, but I hear a lot of people tell me they're so PC, Seinfeld famously told ESPN's Colin Cowherd in June. Young people just want to use these words, that's racist, that's sexist, that's prejudice. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. In recent weeks, the Wrap has discussed the issue with at least a dozen comedians, many of whom lamented that the fun of performing for young audiences has been diluted by a combination of extreme cultural sensitivity and the power of social media. We are in an age of faux outrage, incoming Daily Show host Trevor Noah told the Wrap. Sometimes people don't even know why they're angry. They just jump on the bandwagon. They don't even do the research. The most brilliant example of that for me was Patton Oswalt, who sent out a series of tweets apologizing for nothing, and people lambasted him for it. Noah knows from experience, within hours after he was named to replace Jon Stewart, the South African native was called out on social media for edgy tweets about fat chicks and Jews that he had posted years ago. What the fuck is edgy? I keep seeing this word, what, twice? Twice in this fucking piece of shit article? What are they on the edge of? They're not on the edges of society. They have nice, well-paying jobs. Oh, you're upset that the fruits that you have helped bear are ripening, for lack of a better term. They're starting to smell a little bit. They're starting to smell like a stinky armpit and hair dye. You chose this, comedians. Oh, but it's not my fault. So what happens when you don't care about anything? This is what happens when, like, I'm in the middle. You're fostering something. Anyway. He says, that's the age we live in. We don't want to read anymore. We don't want to find out why. We just go, are people angry? I want to be angry, he said. And it's a mob mentality. That's not progressive. And it's a mob mentality that's not progressive, and it's not conducive to us getting to the truth of anything. But being progressive, that's where you get your truth, when that's what you've been fostering. This is the end result of this bullshit, you dumb fuck. Still, others have pointed out that college bookings offer lucrative opportunities, cash grabs, as veteran comic Lonnie Love called them, to performers who may sometimes be asked to soften the language or edginess of their acts to satisfy college audiences or administrators. Again, there's that word. Edgy. It's like, you know what? People who use Facebook too much do run the world. People who spend a little too much time in their sorority, they run the world. These are who are writing these articles. These are the people writing these articles. To many, it may seem counterintuitive that college campuses, institutions meant to foster a vigorous exchange of views and ideas. Fuck you. Who wrote this? Matt Donnelly and Kathy Zerbib. Of course it was co-written by a woman. Should be the very place where expression is deemed unacceptable. You know what they think these women, these sorority girls, these dyed armpit hair, dyed pube chicks think discussion is exchange of views and ideas? It means Republicans are so dumb, right? Ha ha ha, I know. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's just like, we need feminism because it's just so important to so many people. I need free birth control because it's a human right. And that's just the fact of the matter. I need free birth control. Just repeating the same shit over and over again. That's what they think is an exchange of ideas. What kind of birth control are you getting? That's the most diversity of opinion they'll tolerate. Continuing. For society at large, political correctness is kind of good. Oh my god. People are being considerate of everybody else. There's something enlightened about that, said Peter Melman, a Seinfeld writer and producer who now does stand-up. There's something enlightened about denying what makes certain groups of people. Denying reality. We don't live in the age of information. We live in the age of ignorance and human experimentation. When people say educated, I mean, despite the fact that they like to say it because it has more than 2 syllables, when people say educated, they really mean completely fucking oblivious. Oh, Jews don't run Hollywood. Say that to a group of college students and college graduates, and hear the oh so predictable refrain of, that's anti-Semitism. Despite the fact that it is a demonstrable fact that Hollywood mostly run by Jews. So fuck this Peter Melman, whoever the fuck he is. And he continues, but when it comes to entertainment, it's just chilling it. He continued, when you think about Jerry Seinfeld not being willing to do college campuses because of political correctness, I think you got a real problem. I could understand Bill Maher, but Jerry? Maher, a longtime avatar of politically edgy humor. Holy fuck. How many times are you going to use the word edgy? Since his days hosting Politically Incorrect, has been quick to defend Seinfeld and to take digs at students who have called on comics to take a more progressive approach to controversial topics. Stupid though I was in 1976, I wouldn't have presumed to lecture George Carlin on comedy, said Maher, who did indeed appear at Berkeley despite the protests. What the? Oh, a progressive approach to controversial topics. Oh, what? We're all the same, right, guys? Except for white people. It's a racist social construct, but white people, they're evil. And that's their approach to it. And if you can think of anything else, please, I'm all fucking ears. To Lonnie Love, comedian and host of BET talk show The Real, students aren't the ones to blame. Up until recently, Love performed stand-up at approximately 35 colleges per year and found that students generally want to hear jokes about grades, sex, and cafeteria food. In other words, things that don't fucking matter. Things that are of no consequence. Succeeding in a college environment is about understanding the college audience and adjusting the act accordingly. Well, I actually kind of agree with that. Kids are pussies. They were raised to be pussies. They were not encouraged to engage with their doubts, to not see where that gap is between expectation and reality. Ignore it, because, that gap is just because of white privilege and homophobia and etc., etc. Truth of the matter is, Seinfeld is not the type of comic that should be hitting up colleges, Love told The Wrap. As far as your point of view about some things, you can save it for your hour special. You can save it for your YouTube or your main fandom. Mencia disagreed, saying college students should be exposed to topics that push them to think and even feel uncomfortable. Look, this is the real world. If these are the things that are going to bother you, you need to grow up a little bit, he said. I'm going to do those college-themed jokes, but I'm also going to mix in a sense of truth that exists outside of this little microcosm of your university. I enjoy making people laugh outside of their comfort zone. Well, this would definitely his view would definitely align with mine with regard to the isolation that academia provides. Melman said he recently did a joke about how proud he was of Caitlyn Jenner for not keeping the same initials when taking a new name. Usually transgender people keep their initials, he told the audience. I'm willing to swap out my genitalia, but those towels, forget it. He observed, I got a little bit of a boo from an audience. Diana Blaine, professor of writing and gender studies at the University of Southern California, emphasizes with the comedians, I don't think campuses are aggressively liberal. How far up your own ass do you have to be to believe this? She told The Wrap. For the most part, the students are more than happy to learn about these ideologies that have perhaps caused them to be more hateful or small-minded. Oh, but campuses, they're not aggressively liberal. See, if you have an ideology that is not liberal, then you're hateful and small-minded. There are times, I will tell you, when I hesitate to express opinions in certain ways because of the politics of the country and the world. I'm always sorry about that. Oh, fuck you. You have nothing to worry about. You're on the right side of the fence. Even young people themselves are concerned about a quashing of vigorous thought and contrarian views. Jokes make me uncomfortable. That's almost a positive thing. Avon Jogia. What the fuck kind of name is this? The 22-year-old Tut actor told The Wrap at a recent red carpet event. I'm not looking that up to get it right. For the longest time, whether it's George Carlin or Louis C.K., now comedians make us observe the things about a society that makes us uncomfortable and makes it okay to laugh about them. That's the kind of thing that goes over the heads of most people my age that are outraged at comics who do college shows. Think about the level of, I guess, being myopic, that thinking that comedians, they're the most edgy people out there. These are the most out there people that can possibly be. This is what your average person thinks. This is how far up their own ass your average person is. Louis C.K. so edgy. Oh yeah, it's so fucking edgy, hearing the same shit in joke form that you would hear in any lecture in any college class taught by anybody anywhere. Love recognizes that college campuses have become more liberal since she started her stand-up career performing at her alma mater, Prairie View A&M University in Texas. She also noted that comics are not the final arbiters for what jokes work. I do think the audiences have a right to judge what they feel is offensive and not love said. I appreciate the audience for checking us as comics. Now, going back to the one thing that just popped into mind now about people thinking how comedians are the edgiest ideologues out there. Does this or does this not affirm my assertion I made earlier on in this episode of this show that college students are one step removed from Hicks? These people are so dull and non-curious, they think comedians, edgy. Wow, some really boundary-pushing ideas that make me really uncomfortable. Yeah, because you haven't been hearing it your whole life. K through 12, freshman to senior, all the way up to postgrad, all the way up to doctorate, you haven't heard this bullshit. A more verbose form of this bullshit that you're hearing from these comedians. How dull do you have to be to not draw a connection between the bullshit your teachers are saying versus the bullshit comedians are saying? The only difference between the opinions of these two groups of people, two seemingly different groups of people, is how they deliver their message. Which apparently is enough to throw off your average hick, your average dullard. Again, none of this surprises me, but it's nice to have documented proof. I'm done reading this. All I can say to these comedians, all I can say to any sort of performer, any sort of entertainer is, you reap what you sow. You push a slightly mutated form of ideas invented by pussies whose lives are dependent on taxpayer donations and donations from clueless middle-class people. And you throw your hands up and ask, why are these college students like this? Again, dullards. Dullards everywhere. And hicks, who think they are far more sophisticated than they truly are. Alright, question time. As I delve deeper into the alt-right, I keep coming across people who I would otherwise probably mark off as freaks. Queers, furries, bronies, unironic wizards and sorcerers, total weebs, and the like. I'm more perplexed than anything that there exists a My Nationalist pony blog on Tumblr, and don't really know what to think. Should these people just be accepted or told to curb their perversions or just discarded? Well, this is why I don't, I've been a fan of certain movements, certain blog spheres, but I've never been a part of them. And this is precisely why, because I cannot control who enters it, who is under the same banner. If I just do Common Filth on YouTube, independent of any sort of sphere, any sort of, alt-right, blah, blah, blah. Once upon a time, I would have liked to join the ranks of your various alt-right blogs, but I came to discover, there is too much deviancy that I would hate on its own. I don't want to hang out with these deviants. I don't want to be a part of them, because the company you keep is a reflection of who you are, whether you like that or not. So while there is a lot of stuff that I respect about these various edge of, acceptable discourse blogs and websites and writers, the problem is if you're out there on the edges, the true edges, you're going to get everything. You're going to attract all sorts of overlap with, like you said, freaks. Next, what is your opinion on the Black Lives Matter movement? Well, it seems to me that Black Lives only matter if they're ended by a white person. So, I don't see the protests when black people are killing other black people. I mean, if they were to rename themselves Black Lives, whose lives fit the narrative and whose deaths fit the narrative matter, well, that would be a lot more honest and I could respect that. But as it stands, we aren't getting that. Copied from the episode 52 thread. Okay, yeah. What's your opinion on getting women with game and of the manosphere in general? Well, like your various alt-right blogs, the manosphere was an influence on me with regard to just getting the inspiration to put out your own content independent of any major media outlet, and their ideas on anti-feminism and the nature of females. That influenced me a lot, but that's as far as it went. It did not progress enough for me, and that's why I ultimately lost interest in it. Also, the other night, I was with my girlfriend looking for a documentary to watch on Netflix when we came across a movie called Hot Girls Wanted that you might find worth watching. It followed the story of a few girls in the amateur porn industry and how their careers progressed. There's some pretty disgusting parts in the movie as well as some funny bits, such as the main girl going to a party with her super cuck boyfriend and everyone there making fun of them and saying they should watch one of her videos. But what stuck out to me the most was that she came from a loving family living in a small town. It showed her hunting with her dad and talking with her mom in a trusting, open manner. I thought that a girl raised in such a setting with good moral parents would be resistant to something so awful, but it also shows her sitting around with other girls saying that they didn't want to be like the parents and go to school, start a family, etc., and were going to be stars instead. She was so happy to be away from her hometown and have a small amount of disposable income and acted like taking dicks for a living was somehow more empowering than being a good wife and mother. What do you think are some of the cultural aspects that can cause a girl to pursue something so vile and degrading while lying to themselves that it's actually empowering and good? That it's actually empowering and good. Any thoughts on porn-proofing young girls in my family? Thanks and God bless. Well, it's not cultural. I think that, and by me saying that, I mean it's a minor percentage. I'm not saying that it's not completely cultural, that, where the culture is, cultural conditions can lead girls to this point, but you gotta understand that female sexuality is very savage. It is not this innocent, demure thing. And combine this with the fact that young women are very powerful when using their sexuality. Men, when presented with fresh eggs, for lack of a better term, will destroy their lives for a chance to fertilize them. I think a fair number of women are simply content to snare a man and his resources through offering up her strong offspring. Because she's young, she is fertile, she will produce a strong child. However, there are also a number of women out there, like the one you described in the documentary you watch. They want to take it to an extreme, though logical conclusion. As amoral and hedonistic as that career is, as that lifestyle is, it's not a cultural thing. It is a female impulse thing. Even though I think about it, porn, while it is exercising that power, that sexual power in the short term and the long term, what does it yield? It does not yield children that will take care of you in old age. It does not yield a partner who will be loyal to you after you have ceased being sexually viable. So pursuing a career in that and pursuing that as a means to obtain sexual power, to exercise that power, is really high time preference. And, we do live in a democracy, which is the most high time preference government possible, because voters are impulsive and stupid. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but maybe I've stumbled onto the conclusion that porn is the industry, it's the embodiment of democracy. It's the industry that is the embodiment of democracy. Alright, next up. Hello again, CF. I bought the whole Tumblr East Raw Volume 1 and 2, and by the way, Volume 3 coming soon. I will be recording it soon enough, and really enjoyed them, even though it also had some nasty shit. Well, that's why it is on Bandcamp. And waiting for the Volume 3. My favorite ones are Episode 4 from Volume 1 and Episode 11 from Volume 2, and also Episode 1, Volume 2, because boobies. Well, keep in mind, everyone, they are censored. I am not, I'm not peddling complete smut here. Anyway, here are the questions. Both of us dislike normal people, but your reasons are more focused on their emotions used on filthy stuff, and mine are more focused on the fact that they don't strive for being better and strive for more. However, I later realized that they're needed for the sake of keeping a society in function than doing everyday tasks. However, as I've dug deeper into the hole of degeneracy, I noticed that eventually they're going to fuck society because they'll stop doing those everyday jobs. So are they going to realize the importance of their role in society before it collapses and stop doing degenerate behavior? The answer to that is no, because nobody has an understanding of duty and hierarchy, and what is important and what is not important. People don't realize that certain jobs need to be done in order to keep the gears turning. These are people that think that the world owes them whatever amount of dollars per hour for heating up food. And for those people, I get it a little bit. If they were aware that society has failed them in equipping them with any sort of skill that, again, keeps the gears of civilization turning. But they don't get it. They think that what they do is very important and that they deserve something that they don't. 2. Of all the things you've covered on Tumblristas, which is the lesser and greater of the evils of all the episodes made, including the raw ones, I'll personally choose the media representation as one of the lesser evil, and the gay incest to be the worst, tied with the bug chasers. Well, you gotta look at these things as part of a whole, because the media representation complainers are okay with the bug chasing stuff and the gay incest stuff because they view self-expression as the greatest thing. And being a homo in every conceivable way, that's self-expression and that's good, even though we see what it leads to. Any plans on doing a Tumblristas episode focused on cuckoldry? No, because if you look at any variety of cuckold tags, it's just pornography. So no. Is there in fact going to be a new furor on Russia, considering that's the only place that gives a fuck about whites? Do you think people are going to take this, and which side would you want to be victorious? I don't know. I do not know what would be best. All I know is that Russia does not seem hell-bent on destroying itself. And there's something to be said for that. You know, I mean, Russia is not technically the West, but you know what? Genetically, it is close enough. And they're doing a hell of a lot more for their own people than anyone in northern Western Europe. And that's all I have to say about it. Which is more progressive, cutting your genitals, getting your neck hole paused, being a whore, mixing races, having made up genders, or being cucked? Getting your neck hole paused, because I think that being a serophobe, being afraid of diseases is very regressive, and we need to get over the stigma because we are all HIV equal. We all have an HIV status. And if you think I'm making that up, look it up. It is not something that I just thought of. Many years ago, well, not many, it was like 2 years ago, I found some promotional images featuring a drag queen with an HIV equal tattoo with what I just said. Everyone has an HIV status. We're all HIV equal. Unfucking believable. Was the European Union a bad idea from the very beginning, or did it get worse over time? And your thoughts on nations having an agreement, or if they're better off being independent, and your opinion on globalization? That's out of my depth, so I'll pass on that one. Thanks for all and have a great day. Well, thank you. What's your opinion on Nouvelle Droit, Generation Identitaire, the circle-jerking nature of the alt-right on Tumblr, Stormfront, Tiny Chat, Iron March, etc.? I apologize if you've been asked these before or if asking too many questions is improper. Thanks. Nothing improper here. I don't have any opinions on the first two. I am familiar a little bit with Generation Identity, but nothing that I can elaborate on. And the circle-jerking nature of the alt-right, again, I am not explicitly a part of this. Many alt-right people like what I do, and I definitely welcome them. But again, I don't think it's a good idea to assign yourself to a movement that you have no control over. I do not want to be associated with My Little Pony. And as for the circle-jerking nature of it, I get it. I understand why. It is the only place where you can actually discuss ideas with people who are being honest and arguing in good faith. I understand what leads to circle jerking. I don't like it. I don't engage in it, but I understand. Because there's little else to do. Because you aren't exactly going to have a vigorous exchange of views and ideas with anybody outside of your sphere. Because everybody is uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm using words in that article for ironic effect or something. Hey CF, thanks for answering my questions over the last several weeks. Hope you don't mind that I have a few this week. Are you against women's suffrage? Yes. Have you ever considered leaving America for a less paused country? No, because I don't know where to go. Where is a lesser evil, and where is a place that I could fit in with the culture? And I'll elaborate on the women's suffrage thing. It's bad enough that women, when left to their own devices, come up with some really, 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 really dumb ideas. Walk through your college campus to find this out, to discover it for yourself. It's bad enough that these people are pushing the worst ideas and are being paid to do it. This is augmented by the fact that there are men out there who will simply go along to get along if it means the potential of having sex with these women. It's like, as weird as it may seem, there are guys that vote with their cocks, but look what's leading them there. And that's why. That's my elaboration for now. Again, I'm kind of losing my voice, guys, so we'll see how far I can go. And do you intend on having children in the future? If things stay on their present course, no. No. As years have gone by, I start to see the friends that I have made show their true colors. And from what of the opinions that I hear from them disgust me. And from what of the opinions that I hear from them disgust me. I'll read that a little better. It's nothing more than liberal politically correct garbage that they shit out of their mouths. I'm really sick and tired of making friends who I realize later are just a bunch of fedora-tipping sheep who just support the shit from Tumblr and blindly follow what the liberal media says. And if I say anything about my religious views, I just get hounded on by them with this I fucking love science, haha, God's not real, I support rainbow love bullshit. So here are my questions for this week. Is it really that hard to find the right respectful people to make friends with? And should I just stop making friends and be alone for the rest of my life? That's a little bit extreme. I think that you can find them. It's just you have to be upfront. You can't suffer through their company if friendship is what you really value. You have to be really upfront with this shit. I mean, not like, hi, nice to meet you, 1488. Not like that, you know. That'll put anybody off, even people who might be inclined to agree with you, but you just gotta use intuition. You have to get better at choosing your friends. And there's really no other way to do that than to, again, improve your sense of intuition. Not all, but why are the majority of atheists are full freaks and assholes who think they know what they're talking about? Because their asshole is the god they worship. I mean, this is certainly not all atheists, but I don't think I have to say that. I mean, people who truly feel an absence of God, they don't need to do that. But to me, atheists are desperately seeking out some sort of divine presence, some presence greater than themselves in their lives. And to find it in themselves, well, we see where that leads. Leads to hot oil and bananas. That's all I have for this week. God bless. Well, thank you. What are your thoughts on the term positive discrimination and on affirmative action in general? Is affirmative action even necessary anymore given the makeup of your average corporation? I mean, think about their marketing campaigns. Every major corporation's a marketing campaign. Diversity, inclusion, blah, blah, blah. And this fools a lot of people, namely the hicks with college degrees. Wow, they're really progressive. I'm gonna buy their products. Here's another stuff white people like: diversity quotas. Every corporation should put up a big fucking banner. We hire a lot of minorities, and watch those white people dollars flow in. Except that now the quotas, they can they don't even need to be quotas. They can be set from within rather than from external pressure. Do you think a third world war will occur anytime soon? And if so, between who and what over? Out of my depth. And I'm not afraid to say that. I think this is a question for proper historians to ask. Because, well, how does the saying go? History does not repeat, but it rhymes. And next. Do you believe some people have a predisposition to be homosexuals, actually being born that way, perhaps by some sort of mutation, or do you believe it is a choice influenced by other people and or the culture? I don't believe that it is born this way. I think it is developed this way. I think it is a maldevelopment, because this would assume that straight people are born sexually mature. Even though they have the parts, they cannot reproduce. I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of homosexuals will talk about how they were molested as children before they hit puberty, and I think that goes a long way in fucking up and redirecting sexual impulses in ways that are ultimately purposeless and detrimental. Alright, I have these two longer questions at the bottom, which I am taking a screenshot of as we speak, and I will put that in the episode 54 folder for answering for next week. So I do apologize those last two. So I sorted by best. I probably should have sorted by newest to begin with, but if I resorted right now, I would lose track. But I just took a screenshot of the two that were at the bottom, and I will get to those next week. And this question was posted to the episode 52 question thread that was posted after I had recorded it, but I said I would get to it, so I will. Hi CF, I'm not great at writing, so you have to forgive my poor diction. Anyways, I think that 2D hand-drawn animation is a dying art form, not because of the lack of people wanting to do it because it is becoming less of a career option. As you may know, creating fully colored 3-minute 24 frames per second animation can take anywhere from 2 months to 2 years. Now, with YouTube's recent changes to its algorithm, making any decent cash is rendered nearly impossible. A few decades ago, we had hand-drawn movies in the theater. Now it seems the only hope for animators is to join a studio or freelance for companies. I want to hear your thoughts about this and want to know if you think animation is a career worth pursuing. Also, please correct me if I'm wrong about any of the stuff I've said. Thank you for the show, even though it bums me out. You really make quality content. You're also a great speaker, and your voice is easy to listen to. Thanks. I think that you would know more about the state of the animation industry than I would. None of what you are saying stands out to me as false, because I remember watching a video by a Sexual Lobster, and he does YouTube animations. You might be familiar with him, and he said he went to some YouTube creator seminar and said that because of recent changes in YouTube's algorithm, like you said, the algorithm now favors videos that are longer. Videos like this one, even though it's not technically a video. So I can confirm that, because Common Filth Radio, it gets less views than Tumblristas, but it consistently makes more in ad revenue. Not that it's any significant amount, but I can confirm what he said in one of his videos. So with all of that in mind, I definitely would advise against it, just from a surface level glance and just stuff I've heard and stuff that aligns with what you're telling me. And this is not to say that you should drop making cartoons, animating as a hobby. It's just that it would be very difficult if you put your whole being into this, trying to get on TV, trying to get a job as an animator, and not getting there. I mean, that would be a terrible situation. But if you had a day job while you developed this hobby and created something that you could send into television stations, that would make the situation a lot less precarious. All right, let's do a few more and then we'll say goodbye. Hello, Common Filth. I've been a lifelong atheist, and I think I'm going to stay this way. Before tuning in, I was a fan of The Amazing Atheist and would consider myself an anti-theist. Recently, I've decided to read the Bible. What mindset should I have going in? What are some things to consider while reading it? Wonderful show. I have listened to every episode twice. Thank you very much. That's a lot. That's a lot of hours, but hey, you know what? I'm glad you're getting a lot out of my content. The mindset you should have is one that is looking for answers on the human condition, why humans behave the way they behave, and how humans behave the way they behaved throughout history. Because even if you don't take the story of Adam and Eve literally, it's a great story. It is one of the greatest stories, I think, and one of the most relevant. You think about it. These humans are given paradise. And I don't know if I've said this before, but fuck it, I'll say it again. Adam and Eve given paradise. And God says, you can do anything you want. Just don't touch the damn fruit. And what happens? What happens? Adam listens to Eve. Adam takes some very bad advice. They fuck with the fruit, and look what happens. And that is just perfect. Because it shows that humans are incapable of dealing with paradise, with perfection. They're going to fuck it up themselves somehow. And how do we know that this is true? How do we know that humans fuck up paradise if they are given it? We live in an example of it, an everyday example of this. America is an economic supernova. Unprecedented, the economic success America has had. A strong middle class, and look what happened. Look what happened. We invent shit like white privilege, straight privilege. We start believing all of this bullshit that has no bearing on what keeps civilization hinged. And of course, by we, I do mean Americans, and if you are not an American, I do apologize, but I'm sure that wherever you live, you can find an example of people fucking a good thing up. Okay, next. Hey CF, it's been a while since I emailed you. Still watching your videos and still loving them. No questions, but a few weeks ago, one of my former friends posted a status saying he doesn't mind being a side nigga. In other words, fucking someone else's girlfriend. I called him out on it, and the worst part is everyone agreed with him. No one disagreed with him but me. He believed that getting his dick wet is alright because the girl wants it, and to not act on those impulses is a social construct. He really said this. He also had a cuck comment on his status about how he is right, and the cuck said he was married and how his wife wanted to fuck another guy and he paid for the plane ticket. Needless to say, I ended our friendship, but he did have SJW ideologies and friends, but he was still a decent person until I learned he was a shit stain. Well, I'm sorry to hear that someone like that made its way into your life. There are serpents and demons everywhere. And I don't mean this in like a schizophrenic, oh god, the walls are closing in kind of way. I do mean this in people who resemble serpents and demons. Hey CF, another story I wanted to tell you that made me think of a new feminine social hierarchy. Recently, one of my friends posted a status saying she agrees with abortion. I commented as to why I don't, unless there are certain criteria like rape, etc. Well, all the females thought I was an ass, surprise, surprise. I went into further detail, but it's so long to mention. Basically, these girls think that abortions are fine and having sex irresponsibly is okay, and that some women don't want to carry a baby for 9 months, and guys have no say when it comes to abortions. Even some guys, spineless cucks, agreed. Luckily, there were a few chicks that agreed with my stance on the matter. There is still hope. I believe 5 to 10 years from now, women will form a social hierarchy based on the amount of abortions they got. The more abortions, the higher up the social ladder you ascend. I could be wrong or crazy, but the way people talk about abortions, I wouldn't be surprised. Thanks for reading my emails and keep doing what you're doing. I'll always support you. God bless. Very much appreciated. I don't know if there will be like a social hierarchy based on how many abortions you've had, but the way you talk about it, I think that having an abortion, like people will talk about, oh yeah, I want to have an abortion. I think it'll be a source of social bonding for some people. I think that's where it'll go. I think that it will be a way for women to relate to one another. As sick as that may seem, I think it'll be a little less convoluted than a social hierarchy, but I think you're definitely on the right track with your thought process. Next, hey Mr. Common Filth, been listening to your show for the past 2 months, and I just want to say you are a blessing. I'm fortunate enough that those closest to me all share similar beliefs to myself. Even I find a lot of my views are a little too much for them, so I'm glad to see I'm not alone. Anyways, I have a question for you. With all the talk of September, I begin to do a lot of reading, and as conspiracies usually do, I found myself neck deep in a bunch of occult, NWO kind of stuff. I don't really believe much if any of it. This question isn't about whether or not you believe in the NWO, Shemitah, any of that stuff, but I'm fascinated by the occult facet of it all, and have been fascinated by that kind of stuff for a long time. I don't practice anything, I don't even believe a lot of it, but I do enjoy reading about it. I want to know, what is your take on the occult? It's obvious to believe in angels, demons, etc., but what about more fringe stuff like aliens and whatnot? When you say that this person is possessed by the devil, do you believe it, or is it hyperbole? Because us rational people want to believe there's no other reason that someone would fuck a dog. Do you think that David Icke is crazy, if you even know who that is? This may be a little out of your ballpark, but nowadays it seems that Pole and Fringe have begun to overlap a lot. Anyways, if you take this question, thanks, and keep fighting the good fight. We all really appreciate it. When I say that people are possessed by demons, I'm half exaggerating and half imagining how demons would behave. I don't think it's such a literal thing. I don't think demons need to be guys with horns and a tail. I don't think it needs to be half horse, half men who have red skin. But my perspective is this: does it really matter? Does it really matter what they look like? Or does it matter how they behave? And there's just so many behaviors that are considered acceptable by many people that I can see in no other way. Many people, a disturbing amount of people, behave in demonic fashion. I have no interest in the occult, other than using, the terminology demons, demonic, whatever, because I think it accurately describes a lot of behavior. But I understand why people like the occult, because there's a lot of stuff that can't be fully explained, can't be fully known. And it's that sense of mystery that keeps people coming back, that keeps people interested in it. I think that questions are a lot more interesting than answers. But beyond that, I have no perceptions, no opinions, no insight with regard to strange occult stuff. Though I do recall being fascinated by that weird airport in Denver. That was some weird shit. Okay, next. In the past few months, I found your channel, and it's been really interesting to hear. A lot of people are scared to be definitive on a subject due to pissing a group of people off. It's super refreshing to hear it, so keep up the good work. I've recently got a job, so I'll be buying your stuff in the near future. Really appreciate what you do. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate everything that all of my fans do for me. Next, and I'll do the Ask FM ones. This one isn't so much of a thing of advice, but a little bit of input would be nice. I know a female who is in an open relationship, and from what I hear of it, it's pretty shitty on her end, which is kind of surprising to me as those types of relationships work out for the female. What's your stance and opinion on open relationships? To me, it seems like someone in the relationship is always getting the short end of the stick. Yeah, you have one of two camps. Open relationship people can fall under. Can fall under the desperate, lonely type, which is what this person here seems to be. And you have the other camp, which is the whore who wants to be sophisticated. I'm not sleeping around. I'm in an open relationship. Yeah, that kind of thing. But either way, it's incredibly stupid. One is rather sad and the other is just contemptible. Alright, we'll do these two and we'll get out of here. ICF, actually the word racist wasn't invented by the communists. It was first used by Charles Mulatto in 1897. Here's the article about it. Well, thank you for the information. I'll check out that article in a bit. But and that's not me being shitty. That's me being sincere. Thanks for my question. I'm addicted to foul pornography, and I can't get by without it. Any suggestions on how to overcome it? Beyond the obvious generic stuff like use your computer in front of other people and only use it in public spaces, stuff like that. Just think of how gross cum is. Like think about it. If you were just walking somewhere and you saw splooge on the sidewalk, you'd be like, oh fuck, that's gross. Well, that's what you create every time you watch porn and you're done with it. Just imagine the splooge without the porn. Pretty gross. So, yeah, just something to think about. I tend to listen to your podcast while painting miniatures, so I was wondering, what do you think about miniature war games and the people who play them? And do you think the crazy egalitarians will hit it too, or is it too niche for equality? Thanks. That is something that is completely foreign to me. I mean, I'm aware of war games, table games, things like that. It's just I never played them, and I never knew anybody who played them. So, yeah, no opinions. I am a true neutral when it comes to that stuff. And if you're painting your own miniatures, I guess that would indicate that there's a high level of customization on the player's end. So, I guess it would be entirely dependent on whether or not people of a certain ideology start taking up this hobby. But if this is something that if you play with friends and you get together, you have control over who joins your circle. So just keep an eye out. That's really all anybody can do. And with that being said, that wraps up all the questions for this week. I'm out of things to say, so until next week, you take care of yourselves, be good to each other, and I will talk to you later.